They called me the family's biggest disappointment. For years, I built an empire in the shadows, brick by brick. And now, they were about to sign their future into my hands, without even knowing it. I stared at my reflection in the mirrored elevator walls, adjusting the $80 blazer I'd grabbed from a clearance rack at Macy's. In just a few minutes, I'd be sitting through another unbearable family dinner, nodding politely while my siblings flaunted their latest accomplishments, oblivious to everything they didn't know. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. The elevator chimed, opening to the rooftop lounge of the Chesby Club, Baltimore's elite members-only restaurant. They were the Langstons, my family known for their real estate dynasty and their habit of confusing wealth with worth. Well, look who finally showed. My older sister Rachel called out his manicured fingers, brushing imaginary lint from his Hismes blazer. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. Had to squeeze us in between shifts at that little office of yours. I slid into the empty seat beside my father, ignoring his disapproving glance at my worn shoes. "Sorry, late day," I murmured. "Had to wrap a few things at work." "You're still at that admin job, right?" My younger brother Connor chimed in with a smirk, flipping his Rolex invoices filing. "Whatever it is you do." Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. "Something like that," I said flatly. "My real job, CEO of Halcyon Ventures." But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. My father let out a sigh that seemed rehearsed. "Lucas, you're 34. When will you stop wasting your potential? Rachel's overseeing our Florida expansion. Connor just locked in a $10 million listing. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results." The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. "And I'm keeping the lights on," I said with a polite smile. Rachel beamed. "You'll love tomorrow's news. Langston Properties is partnering with Bell Capital. Their CEO is flying in to sign the deal, $40 million. Can you believe it?" I sipped my sparkling water, slowly hiding the twitch in my smile. Bell Capital, my company. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. "We've worked for months on this," Connor added proudly. "They're sending someone named, what was it, Elina Blackwood? Never heard of his. Probably someone writing on connections," Rachel added with a smirk. I held their gaze evenly. "You'll get to meet his tomorrow." They laughed, clinked ked glasses, and talked about legacy. Meanwhile, I mentally reviewed the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. The one was they'd be begging for my signature. They called me the family's black sheep. They still do. But after tomorrow, they'll call me boss. I saw opportunities they were too entitled to notice. The startup I worked for back then, Orion Data Systems, had game-changing AI algorithms, but their finances were a train wreck. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. When they teetered on the edge of bankruptcy, I quietly used my modest savings and insider knowledge of their cash flow to acquire a controlling stake for pennies on the dollar. The founders were brilliant engineers, relieved to hand off the business side. They just wanted to code and create, and I let them. Within 2 years, Orion had evolved into Bellrest Capital, a powerhouse tech investment hybrid that now ranks among the top private equity firms in North America. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. No one ever knew I was behind it. I kept everything shielded behind holding companies and anonymous trusts. Attended board meetings via secure video feeds, masking my voice through software. While Rachel and Connor flayed their wealth on social media, I quietly built an empire. Bellrest now holds equity in over 60 companies, including several that have outbid my family's firm on major real estate developments. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. I never upgraded my life. Still lived in my modest 2-bedroom walk-up in Mount Vernon. Still drove the same Honda Civic from college. Success didn't need to be loud. The waiter interrupted my thoughts with another round of cocktails. My mother jumped into his favorite critique, my single status. You know, Lucas, if you just tried a little, maybe got your hair done, dressed in something that didn't look like it came off a clearance rack, you might attract someone worthwhile. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. Rachel's husband is a partner at Goldman Sachs. Rachel smirked. James and I are hosting a gala for the Children's Trust next month. $3,000 cents a plate, but don't worry, Lucas. We won't make you feel out of place. Connor chuckled. I thought about the invitations sitting on my desk at home. Addressed to Bellrest CEO, they were practically begging me to attend. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. I'm not unhappy, I said calmly, cutting into my steak. Success doesn't look the same for everyone, my father scoffed. That's what failures say to feel better. Then Rachel suddenly lit up. Remember that tiny tech firm you worked for? Guess who bought them Bellrest Capital? Connor laughed. If only you'd stayed, Lucas, you could have actually been part of something big for once. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. I dabbed my lips with my napkin, suppressing a grin. Yes, imagine that. Lucas, my mother said their CEO is brilliant, ruthless, private, the kind of success you'll never be. I raised my glass. Heise's 2 surprises. The CEO of Bellrest is coming to the contract signing tomorrow. Rachel said, chin lifted, like he was announcing a royal visit. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. They're extremely selective about their partnerships. Clearly, they know the Langston name carries weight. Clearly, I murmured, glancing at my phone beneath the table. An urgent email from my CFO had just come in. Another tech acquisition in San Diego, one that would shake up the entire industry. The kind of deal Rachel couldn't even dream of. Put that away. My mother snapped. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. It's not like anything important is coming through. Show some manners, Alina. If he knew I was in the middle of negotiating a 9-figure merger, he might think twice. But I just nodded, slipping my phone into my purse. Let them believe what they want for now. Dinner played out like it always did. Connor bragging about his growing real estate empire. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. Rachel gushing about his gala guest list. My parents practically glowing with pride at their overachievers. And me, I was the easy target. The quiet disappointment. I let it all roll off me. Tomorrow would speak for itself. The signing was scheduled for 10:00 a.m. sharp at Langston Properties' main office downtown. Rachel had chased this partnership with Bellrest for nearly a year, clueless that he'd been negotiating with a sister he dismissed at every opportunity. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. As we wrapped up, Rachel leaned in with one final jab. "Don't worry, Lucas. Maybe one day you'll get to vacation at one of my resorts. I'll even let you use the family discount." I smiled, thinking of my cliffside mansion in Big Sioux. Bought in cash, never rented. That's generous of you, Rachel. Connor tossed down his black AMX to cover dinner. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. "Next round's at my new penthouse," he said with a smirk. Though fair warning, it might make some of us feel a little underdressed. I grabbed my well-worn tote bag and stood. "Good luck tomorrow," I said smoothly. "I hope everything goes just as planned." Rachel smirked. "Some of us can handle real business. Just make sure your little office gig doesn't make you late." I walked past their cars. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Rachel's sleek Mercedes, Connor's custom BMW toward my parked Civic. Tomorrow, I'd pull up in my Rolls-Royce Phantom. Tomorrow, they'd learn the truth. But tonight, I returned to my unassuming apartment, powered up my secure workstation, and closed another deal. Because real power doesn't announce itself, it builds quietly, relentlessly, until no one can ignore it. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. What happens when the so-called black sheep walks into the boardroom as the boss? Don't miss the moment. Everything changes. Subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapter in the story. You have to know exactly when to reveal your cards. That morning, I didn't reach for clearance rack slacks. I stepped into my real wardrobe. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. A navy cashmere Cho Teok suit, tailored in Hong Kong, worth more than Rachel's car. My assistant Jordan had already confirmed every detail. Today wouldn't just be a business move. It would be history. The lobby of Langston Properties' downtown headquarters buzzed with its usual entitled energy. Until I stepped through the revolving doors at 9:55 a.m. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. Silence followed. Gone was the man in bargain shoes and a worn tote bag. In his place walked a man in 6-in Louboutins, a soft dress shirt, and a presence no one could ignore. Jordan walked a respectful distance behind me, carrying a Montgrafa briefcase worth more than Connor's mortgage. The front desk security guard blinked twice. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. He recognized me, but not like this. "Mr. Blackwood," he stammered. "I don't see you on the visitor list today." "Check again," I said, calm and unbothered. Under breast capital, his brow furrowed, then snapped upward as my name appeared under VIP clearance. "Of course, Mr. Blackwood. The executive elevator is this way." Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Every head in the lobby followed my steps. Each click of my shoes echoed across the marble floor like a countdown. The elevator ride to the top was silent. Just me, Jordan, and the weight of 7 years of work. Through the glass walls of the boardroom, I spotted them. Rachel pacing in his fake designer suit. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Ironic, considering my company now owned that designer's global licensing. Connor fiddled with his tie the way he always did when he was nervous. My parents at the head of the table, faces glowing with anticipation. They're expecting Bellarest CEO at 10:00 a.m. sharp. Jordan said, glancing at his watch. Are you ready? I smiled. I've been ready for 7 years, and when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. At 10:00 on the dot, Jordan opened the door. Conversation halted. 4 pairs of eyes locked on me, their expressions twisted from mild curiosity to utter disbelief. Lucas, Rachel choked out. What are you doing We're about to have a very important meeting, my father added, tone clipped. I know, I said, placing my briefcase on the glass table and clicking it open. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. That's why I'm his. My mother narrowed his eyes. This isn't the time for stunts. I pulled out the contract and slid it across the table. It's not a stunt, I replied. Velcro's CEO is already his. The silence was absolute. My mother's hand flew to his throat, fingers tightening around his pearls like they might anchor his to reality. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. Connor looked like a fish gasping for air, his mouth opening and closing with no sound. What kind of joke is this? Rachel snapped, his voice cracking under pressure. Wiss is the actual CEO. I smiled and calmly slid my business card across the glass table. Thick ivory cardstock, matte finish, understated elegance, just black text and nothing else. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Lucas Blackwood, founder and CEO, Bellarest Capital. My father snatched it up, his face turning a shade of plum that clashed violently with his tailored blazer. This is impossible. Bellarest is worth billions. You're just what I asked, voice level. An underachiever, a disappointment, the black sheep. Jordan stepped forward and began distributing crisp packets of documents, copies of the finalized investment agreement. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. You'll want your legal team to review Section 8.4 closely, I added. It outlines management compliance conditions, very specific about maintaining operational integrity. Rachel snatched his copy, flipping through the pages with trembling fingers. This can't be real, he stammered. You work in admin. You process invoices. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. Actually, I said, folding my hands on the table, I haven't processed an invoice in over 7 years. I've been running Bellarest, that small AI firm I used to work for. I acquired it when it was floundering. Just like I've acquired dozens of companies, since including, as of last week, the entire East Coast division of Crestmark Financial. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. Connor dropped into his seat, pale and wide-eyed. That penthouse you bragged about, I continued. The development deal funded through one of my subsidiary. My mother finally spoke. But your apartment, your clothes, that old car, all part of the plan, I said. Not everyone needs a spotlight. Some of us build in silence and let the results speak. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. My father's voice was low and bitter. Why the secrecy? Why not tell us? Because you never respected what you couldn't control, I replied. You would have meddled, minimized, tried to take the credit. I rose to my feet, smoothing my tailored trousers. Calm in command. Now then, I said, placing a pen beside the contract. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Shall we discuss the terms of Belcrest's $60 million investment into Langston Properties? It's a lot of money. I suggest we go over exactly what you're agreeing to. Rachel's face had gone pale, almost green. The negotiations I've been negotiating with you this whole time. Through intermediaries, I nodded. Though I have to admit, your original proposal was wildly inflated. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Luckily, I already had access to the real numbers. The next hour was excruciating for them and incredibly satisfying for me. I walked them line by line through the Belrest Capital contract, pausing just long enough at key clauses to watch their reactions shift from disbelief to dread. The $60 million zero investment would save Langston Properties from the brink. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. Debt was piling up faster than they could disguise it, even from one another. Their so-called empire was crumbling behind the glossy PR campaigns, and I knew it. Of course, I said, flipping to the last section. This agreement comes with conditions, specifically management restructuring. I looked directly at Rachel. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. You'll be stepping down as project lead. His lips parted, stunned. You can't. This is my deal. My project. Actually, I can, and it's my deal, I replied coolly. Just like the last 3 you took credit for. Every one of them funded by Brest subsidiaries. I turned to Connor, whose fake composure was cracking. As for your real estate empire ESS loans, you've been hiding from the family. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. Belrest now owns the majority of that debt, which means you work for me. My father surged to his feet, his chair scraping loudly. Now listen, his Lucas. This is outrageous. You can't just come in, and I can. I cut in, voice calm but razor sharp, and I have. Belrest isn't just some holding firm. We have interests in over 60 major corporations. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Your company, it's a footnote in our portfolio. I let that sink in before finishing. But because you're family, I'm giving you a choice. Sign the agreement. Accept the changes, or don't, and watch everything collapse. When we call in our debts. Silence blanketed the room. Rachel's shoulders shook with silent tears. My mother, so perfectly poised all his life, sat slumped in defeat. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Connor stared at the papers like they were written in fire. My father finally picked up the pen. His hand trembled as decades of ego shattered. One, they all signed. Jordan collected the contracts as I rose to my feet. I have another meeting across town, I said, slipping on my coat. Let yourselves out. My actual office makes this place look like a glorified storage unit, I said, turning toward the door. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. Jordan will walk you through the transition. I paused, hand on the handle. Oh, and Rachel, about that charity gala next month. Don't worry about my invitation. He blinked. "What, I bought the venue last year?" I replied with a faint smile. "Actually, I own most of the buildings your events are hosted in." Funny how that works. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. The ride back to Belfrest's real headquarters gave me a moment to reflect. Their stunned faces had been deeply satisfying, yes, but this wasn't about revenge. It was about liberation. I was finally free to stop pretending. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. "Why didn't you tell us?" I stared out at the Baltimore skyline, thinking of every dinner which they ridiculed my car, every backhanded comment about my potential, every time they treated me like background noise. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation only results. Because you never would have believed me. You only respect power when it's shoved in your face. In the months that followed, the landscape shifted. Rachel was quietly reassigned to a strategic advisory role, a graceful way of being sidelined. The projects he once claimed were now credited properly to Bell's team. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Connor's real estate empire was folded under Bell's restructuring unit. His debts absorbed, but his independence gone. As for my parents, they rewrote the past like prose. Suddenly they always known I was gifted. They gushed to friends about their visionary son, the mysterious billionaire who just needed time to bloom. I let them talk. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. It cost me nothing. I kept my modest apartment for balance and finally retired the Civic, donating it to a local men's helter. My real residences, including the private penthouse that crowns Belrest Tower, remained my secret refuge. The next family dinner, it took place in my executive suite, 60 stories above the city. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. They marveled at the floor-to-ceiling skyline views, the curated modern art, the quiet opulence. I raised a glass of red that cost more than Rachel's monthly salary. Success, I said softly, isn't about what you show off. It's about what you build when no one's watching. No one dared respond. For once, the black sheep had silenced the flock. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. But the real twist, I still shop at Target because real power doesn't need validation. It knows exactly who it is and doesn't flinch when no one else does. If you've made it to the end of my story, thank you not just for watching, but for seeing me. For years, I was the one overlooked, the black sheep, the quiet observer who didn't fit into their mold. His empire had been crafted in silence, immune to their scorn. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. But I've learned that you don't have to shout to be strong, and you don't need approval to be worthy. If you've ever been underestimated, if your value was measured by your car, your clothes, or how well you fit someone else's expectations, leave a comment below. Tell me your story. I truly want to hear it. And if any part of this resonated with you, hit subscribe. Every insult they'd thrown was now a brick in the fortress he commanded. And when the ink dried, the family hierarchy would never look the same. Not for the drama, but for the reminder that sometimes the ones they doubt the most are the ones quietly building empires. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone who refuses to see it. You just have to know it for yourself. And build anyway, quietly, relentlessly, and in your own. He wasn't his for reconciliation, only results. The air in the conference hall carried a tension only Lucas could truly savor.